So I grew up in the inner city of Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I was the only child that my mom had. My mom had me when she was 15. And probably a year later, she became addicted to heroin. Watching my mom put heroin, in her veins, shooting up the needle, getting everything ready, men coming in and out of the house, doing the same thing, in different locations. So just living in a house where people and drug addicts would just come in and out. And I can remember that as a child. So growing up in the hood, I just can just remember just all the darkness that was there. Gangs, drug deals, prostitution everywhere, people getting shot, people running from the cops. Being raised dead smack in the middle of that, that's all I knew. That's all I saw. My family was very heavily involved in gangs, and they were part of Latin King gangs. The Latin Kings was a group of Latin Hispanic gang members, men, women from all type of Latino culture, and they were all across the nation. I became part of that just naturally. My mom was a Latin queen, my uncle was a Latin king. Family being in and out of prison. I had 3 uncles in prison, and so that's the type of stuff as a teenager that I grew up in. Growing up without a mom in your life, because I felt like my mom chose drugs over me, chose men over me, chose her life over me. There was this sense of void, this rejection, this abandonment that I grew up with. And so in order to fill the void of my heart, I looked to other things. It was men, drugs, alcohol, money, and then it was the gangs. And what the gangs normally do, especially this one, is they offer you a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging. They promise and commit to you to be a family. And so those are the things that I was looking for in life. I became a mom at the age of 16, and I was still part of that life, the party life, the gang life, the drug life. When I told my mom, again, she was bound by drugs, and I told her that she would not be able to touch or see my son unless she got cleaned up. And that was the moment where she realized that she had to change. She ended up going into a rehab program where then she did have an encounter with the Lord. And through that, that's how God became real to me, because, I always wanted her to change so that she can be there as a mom for me. And when this happened, it was like, wow, there is a God. My mom ends up getting saved. I end up going to church with her and hearing testimonies and stories that resonate with my life. And I said, God, if you could do it for them, you can do it for me, you can do it for us. And so I remember just going home one time and just having this dream, and God just calling out my name. I see him in this figure. I don't see his face. He's reaching his hand down to me, and he says, Damaris. And I said, who are you? And he says, Damaris again. And I just reach out and I grab his hand. And I just open up, And so that weekend, it was, I remember it was July 15, 1994, at a Christian hip-hop concert that weekend. I gave my life to Jesus Christ. So, I get saved and I get involved in youth ministry. I get involved in prayer ministry, evangelism. That's where I also met my husband, Nestor. In 1995, I ended up getting married. And then shortly after, I end up getting pregnant with Destiny. And so, it started off in a beautiful way, but we faced some challenges with that. On the 7th year of our marriage, I come to find out that my husband, had a moral failure, and he confessed to having an affair with another woman. And so it was very devastating. It was very painful. That's what led us to move to Florida. It was in Florida that we would find the help and the healing that our marriage needed. And we were both willing to say yes, to leave everything that we knew back home and to come to Florida just to get our marriage, the help that we needed, the healing that we needed, the hope for our marriage to be restored again so that we can raise our family. And so that's what we did. I'm just thankful and grateful that God can take the past and the trauma and the pain from my past as an unbeliever, in the past, and the pain and the trauma of when I was a believer and I went through all that stuff, and bring it together and now offer hope and healing, and to create a story of redemption, of restoration, that God is able to heal. God is able to take your most painful places and turn them around and use them for his purpose. So there's purpose in our pain, and there's hope, and there's healing for our trauma in our past. Our past doesn't define us. It's him. It's his redemptive and restorative plan that defines us. God took me from the inner city and from the darkness of that, and he rescued my life. He put a purpose and plan in me, brought me back all the way to Florida, full circle back into the inner city, so that I can be a messenger of hope and of life. And even with my marriage, even with my husband, and now we're doing ministry together. Now we minister from those places of pain and those places of failure, and say, hey, we can offer hope. We can offer some wisdom. We can offer some counsel, like it's not the end. Yeah, it's devastating. Yes, it's painful, but it's not the end of the story, because God takes our story and he turns it, and it's for his glory. And so we just say, yes, Lord, just use our lives in whatever way. If God can use our brokenness and our pain to help bring healing and hope to someone else's pain and someone else's marriage, then it's all worth it.